Kevin Durant once had a legitimate shot to become the GOAT. We've had legends dominate the league. It was Michael Jordan's league, then LeBron James came along, and we've been living in the LeBron era for the last decade or so. But now, with LeBron nearing the end of his career, everyone's asking, who's next? But if you've been watching basketball for a long time, like me, you know there was a serious time when a lot of people, myself included, thought Kevin Durant was going to be the one to take that spot. Not just one of the best players in the NBA, but a true all-time top three. Yeah, I'm talking Jordan, LeBron, and Durant. Sounds crazy now, right? But there was a moment when we all thought it was possible. So let's take it back to where this whole journey began. The 2007 NBA draft. KD was taken second overall by the Seattle Supersonics. The hype around this guy was real. Everyone knew he had the potential to be something special. And boy, did he deliver right away. Imagine being 19 years old, stepping into the NBA and already being one of the best players out there. That's exactly what Durant did. He came into the league and there was no question. This guy was going to be something different. If you followed Durant in high school or college, you weren't surprised by this at all. Whenever KD stepped onto the court, whether it was in a gym full of high schoolers or in college at Texas, he was the best player on the floor. Every single time. Now, let's be real, the Sonics weren't exactly a powerhouse at this point. The team was bad, like really bad. But Durant, he was incredible. As a rookie, KD averaged 20.3 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 2.4 assists per game. He was putting up these numbers like it was nothing, and at just 19 years old. To put that into perspective, at the time, only LeBron and Carmelo Anthony had averaged 20 points per game as teenagers. That's some pretty elite company right there. Unsurprisingly, Kevin Durant took home the Rookie of the Year award in 2008. It wasn't even close. He was the standout rookie, hands down. But that was just the beginning. During the offseason, everything changed for KD and the Sonics. The team packed up, moved to Oklahoma City, and rebranded as the Thunder. A new city, a new name, but the same Durant, ready to dominate. Oh, and let's not forget, the Thunder also grabbed a guy by the name of Russell Westbrook with the 4th pick in the draft. Not sure if you've heard of him, but yeah, they got Russ. This was the start of something special. But let's focus on Durant for a second. After just one off season, KD had grown. Literally. He was now listed at 6'11". If you know anything about KD, you know he's always been a bit sneaky about his height. He's always listed himself shorter than he really is, but every player in the league knows KD is taller than he claims. And that size, combined with his skill set, deadly. So in his second season, the Thunder still weren't great as a team, but Durant, oh man, he was getting better. He raised his scoring average by exactly 5 points, going from 20.3 to 25.3 points per game. And not only was he scoring more, but he was doing it more efficiently. His field goal percentage went up from 43% to 47%, and he started hitting threes at a ridiculous rate, 42% from beyond the arc, compared to just 28% the year before. KD was becoming a true superstar right before our eyes. You've got this 20-year-old kid averaging 25 points per game, shooting nearly 50% from the field and over 40% from three. The future was bright, to say the least. He even came in third in most improved player voting, which is wild, considering he was already great as a rookie. But the best part about Durant? He wasn't satisfied. He genuinely loves the game of basketball. All he wanted to do was get better, and you could see it every time he stepped on the court. The next few seasons, KD just kept getting better and better. He won his first scoring title in 2010, and by the time the 2011-2012 season rolled around, he was leading the Thunder to the NBA Finals. And yeah, they fell short to LeBron in the Miami Heat, but you could see it. Durant was on the verge of greatness. He was the youngest scoring champ ever, and he was just entering his prime. Durant was a matchup nightmare. Standing at nearly 7 feet tall, with guard-like skills, he could shoot over anyone, handle the ball like a point guard, and get to the rim at will. Defenders didn't know how to stop him. And it wasn't just scoring. KD was becoming a better defender, passer, an all-around leader. By this point, everyone thought, this guy's going to be the face of the league. He's next. In KD's third season, he took things to a whole new level. This wasn't just some regular improvement. Durant made his first All-Star team this year, and he was on a tear. But it wasn't just him getting better. The Oklahoma City Thunder as a team were on the rise too. They went from a 23-win team the previous season to finishing with an impressive 50-32 record. That's a 27-win improvement. And who was leading the charge? Kevin freaking Durant. This is where things get crazy. That season, KD averaged 30.1 points per game and 7.6 rebounds per game. Let's just pause for a second. Not only did he break into the 30 points per game club, but he also led the entire league in scoring. Durant was now officially in that elite group. He was putting the league on notice. Oh, and by the way, he played all 82 games that season. There was no load management for this dude. Durant was out there, night after night, dominating. And here's another crazy part. His first time making the All-NBA team? Yeah, it wasn't the second team or third team. KD made the first team, and he wasn't just joining any group of guys. That year's All-NBA first team, Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Dwight Howard. Think about that lineup for a second. We're talking about arguably one of the greatest All-NBA first teams in history, and KD was right there with them. Now fast forward to the playoffs. The Thunder had made their way into the postseason, and who were they matched up against in the first round? None other than the Los Angeles Lakers. This was Kobe Bryant's team, and the Lakers were looking for another title. The series was intense. The Lakers ended up beating the Thunder in 6 games, but here's the kicker. After Kobe retired, he said something that stood out. He admitted that Kevin Durant was the one player he never figured out how to guard. Let that sink in. Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest defenders, couldn't figure out how to guard KD. That tells you all you need to know about Durant's offensive prowess. So the 2010-2011 season rolls around, and what does KD do? Oh, he just goes ahead and leads the league in scoring again. This time, Durant averaged 27.7 points per game, and the Thunder were even better, winning 55 games. They were on a mission. In the playoffs, the Thunder were starting to make some real noise. They took down the Denver Nuggets in 5 games in the first round, then faced off against a gritty Memphis Grizzlies team in the second round. That series went to 7 games, but the Thunder pulled it out. But in the conference finals, they ran into a Dallas Mavericks team that was on a magical run. The Mavs took down the Thunder in 5 games and went on to win the NBA championship. But listen, KD was only in his 4th season at this point. He was still so young, and the best was yet to come. The Thunder were stacked, and everyone knew they were on the verge of something special. By now, Durant wasn't just considered one of the best young players in the game. He was becoming one of the best players. Period. And the Thunder? They had built a core around KD that was absolutely lethal. You had Russell Westbrook, the explosive point guard, James Harden, a future MVP in the making, and Serge Ibaka, one of the best defensive big men in the league. The pieces were in place for a championship run. Alright, so now we're in the 2011-2012 season. The season started late because of the NBA lockout, but once things got going, KD was on fire. Just a couple of months into the season, Durant dropped his first career 50-point game. He put up 51 points against the Denver Nuggets, and it was just the beginning of his 50-point explosions throughout his career. But guess what? Once again, Durant led the league in scoring, averaging 28 points per game. He was a scoring machine, but it wasn't just about putting the ball in the basket. KD was becoming a more complete player. He was grabbing 8 rebounds a game and shooting a ridiculous 50% from the field. This wasn't just some volume scorer. Durant was doing it efficiently and in every facet of the game. At this point, people were starting to ask, is Kevin Durant the best scorer we've ever seen? I mean, it was a legitimate question. His combination of height, shooting, ball handling, and athleticism was something the league hadn't really seen before. He was virtually unguardable. The Thunder finished the lockout shortened season with a 47-19 record, just shy of 50 wins, which is impressive considering how short the season was. In the playoffs, they were ready to make a deep run. In the first round, they faced off against the Dallas Mavericks, the defending champions. But this time, the Thunder weren't messing around. They swept the Mavs in 4 games. The series wasn't even close. Then, in the second round, they had to deal with the Lakers again. This time, the Thunder weren't going to be denied. They beat the Lakers in 5 games and advanced to the Western Conference Finals. But this is where things get even more interesting. In the Western Conference Finals, the Thunder were matched up against the San Antonio Spurs, a team led by Tim Duncan and coached by Greg Popovich. The Spurs were experienced, they were tough, and they knew how to win. But Durant and the Thunder weren't fazed. They took down the Spurs in 6 games and advanced to the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history. Now, here we go. The 2012 NBA Finals. It was the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Miami Heat. This was the matchup everyone wanted to see. On one side, you had Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, the young, up-and-coming stars of the league. On the other side, you had LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, the super team that was on a mission to win a championship after falling short the previous year. The stage was set, and the world was watching. Game 1 of the finals, Kevin Durant dropped 36 points, and the Thunder won. It looked like they were about to shock the world, but LeBron James and the Heat weren't going down that easy. The Heat won the next 4 games and took home the championship in 5 games. Even though the Thunder lost, this series was a defining moment for Kevin Durant. He had cemented himself as the second best player in the league, right behind LeBron James. And this wasn't just media hype. LeBron himself gave KD massive praise after the finals. It was clear that Durant was on the verge of greatness, and at just 23 years old, the future was still bright. Let's dive into Kevin Durant's journey starting in the 2012-13 NBA season, right after the Thunder lost to the Miami Heat in the finals. LeBron James had just won his first NBA championship, but when asked if any player motivated him to keep improving, his answer was clear: Kevin Durant. The Thunder were coming off a finals loss, and it was now the 2012-13 NBA season. Even though Durant didn't win the scoring title that year, many believe this was arguably his best season to that point. Durant put up elite numbers: 28.1 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 4.6 assists per game. What really stood out was his efficiency. He shot 51% from the field, 41% from 3, and 90% from the free throw line. These stats made Durant the youngest player ever to join the prestigious 50-40-90 club, one of the most impressive feats in basketball. It's a true mark of shooting greatness, showcasing Durant's elite skill as a scorer. Unfortunately, the Thunder's playoff hopes took a massive hit when Russell Westbrook tore his meniscus in the first round against the Houston Rockets. The Thunder managed to win the series, but fell short in the second round, losing to the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, moving into the 2013-14 season, Durant somehow managed to level up even further. In January of that season, he had a stretch where he scored 30 or more points in 12 straight games. And in April, Durant broke one of Michael Jordan's records, scoring 25 or more points in 41 consecutive games. The best defenders in the league couldn't stop him. They flat out admitted there was no way to guard Kevin Durant. By the end of the season, Durant finished with remarkable numbers: 32 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 5.5 assists per game. These weren't just good stats, they were MVP worthy. Durant was named the MVP for the first time in his career, and he delivered one of the most memorable MVP speeches ever. "You the real MVP" became a cultural moment that fans still talk about today. With the MVP under his belt, Durant and the Thunder were ready for another playoff run. In the first round, they faced the Memphis Grizzlies again, and this time, they managed to win the series in 7 games. In the second round, they went up against the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, Durant has always had a knack for dominating the Clippers, and this series was no different. The Thunder won the series in 6 games, taking down Lob City. It's worth mentioning that Durant's dominance over the Clippers didn't stop there. Later in his career, he continued to beat up on Clippers teams. Even when they had players like Danilo Gallinari and a rookie Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But back to the 2013-14 playoffs. In the Western Conference Finals, the Thunder matched up against the San Antonio Spurs. Despite Durant's brilliance, the Thunder weren't able to pull off the win, and they ended up losing to the Spurs in 6 games. Now, things took a turn in the 2014-15 season. Right before the season started, Durant was diagnosed with a fracture in his foot, which sidelined him for 8 weeks. He made his return in early December, but missed 2 more weeks in late December, came back for a stretch, and then was shut down for the rest of the season in late February. Durant only played 27 games that season, and even though he was dealing with the injury, he still put up impressive numbers: 25.4 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 4.1 assists per game. That season was rough for KD, but everyone knew that once he was healthy, he'd be back to his dominant self. This stretch of Durant's career, from the 2012 finals loss to his MVP season and subsequent injury, was a roller coaster. But one thing was clear: Kevin Durant was one of the greatest players in the game, and his story was far from over. Kevin Durant's final season in Oklahoma City marked the end of an era for both the Thunder and Durant himself. After dealing with injuries the previous season, Durant came back healthy and absolutely dominated. He averaged 28.2 points, 8.2 rebounds, and 5 assists per game while leading the Thunder to 55 wins. The Thunder, as expected, made the playoffs once again, and they entered with a point to prove. In the first round, they faced the Dallas Mavericks, a team they had previously struggled against, and this time they handled business, taking the series. In the second round, they matched up against the San Antonio Spurs, another team that had previously beaten them. But again, Durant and the Thunder came out on top, winning the series and advancing to the Western Conference Finals. It was in this series that Durant and the Thunder would face what many consider the greatest regular season team of all time, the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. This series was crucial for both Durant's career and his legacy. The Thunder jumped out to a commanding 3-1 lead, seemingly on their way to the NBA Finals, but in a shocking turn of events, they blew the lead and lost the series in 7 games. Durant played well throughout the series, but the collapse left a lasting impact on his reputation. And what came next would cause even more controversy. During that offseason, Kevin Durant made the decision to join the very team that had just beaten him, the Golden State Warriors. Durant's move to the Warriors is where a lot of people's respect for him began to diminish. To many, it seemed like he was taking the easy way out by joining a team that was already stacked with talent, including Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. The Warriors had just set the record for the best regular season record in NBA history, and Durant joining them felt like overkill to a lot of fans. They couldn't understand why a player as great as Durant would join a team that was already the best in the league. Despite the backlash, Durant flourished in Golden State. In his 3 seasons with the Warriors, he won 2 NBA championships and was named Finals MVP twice. But even with these accomplishments, many people feel that these rings don't hold the same weight as others, like Dirk Nowitzki's 2011 championship or Kawhi Leonard's 2019 title. The narrative around Durant became that he couldn't win without being on a super team. Whether that's fair or not, it's a perception that still follows him to this day. There's no denying that winning a ring with the Warriors may not have the same emotional impact as other championships, but at the end of the day, a ring is a ring. And Kevin Durant has 2 of them. The greatness of his performances in those finals can't be dismissed either. He was the best player on the court, even with Curry and Thompson by his side. Still, when Durant left the Warriors after the 2018-19 season, it was clear that his decision left a sour taste, especially for Curry. The two had won titles together, but Durant's departure marked the end of a dynasty. Durant then teamed up with Kyrie Irving to form a new super team on the Brooklyn Nets. Soon after, James Harden was added to the mix, and the Nets became instant title contenders. However, Durant's legacy took another hit during his time in Brooklyn, not because of his on-court performance, but because of his inability to stay healthy. Durant only played 129 games in 3 seasons with the Nets due to various injuries. When he did play, though, he was still dominant. In fact, If Durant's foot had been just a little bit smaller in that infamous Game 7 against the Milwaukee Bucks in the 2021 playoffs, we might be talking about him as a 3-time champion today. After 3 tumultuous seasons in Brooklyn, Durant was traded to the Phoenix Suns halfway through last season. Now, heading into the upcoming season, the Suns have assembled a stacked roster featuring Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. The expectations are high, and Durant, now 35 years old, still has plenty of basketball left in him. He remains one of the best players in the league, and the Suns are expected to be legitimate contenders. As Durant's career enters its twilight years, the question arises, where does he rank among the all-time greats? Durant is already considered by many to be a top 15 player of all time. His combination of scoring ability, efficiency, and versatility is unmatched. He's a 4-time scoring champion, 2-time finals MVP, and a regular season MVP. With a few more great seasons, perhaps another MVP, and potentially another championship, Durant could climb even higher in the all-time ranks. Here's how Durant compares to guys like Michael Jordan and LeBron James at this point. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant, 3 names that define greatness in the NBA. Their careers, spanning different eras, have left an everlasting impact on the game. When you talk about the best to ever play, these 3 legends are always part of the conversation. But how do they stack up against each other? It's an exciting comparison, with each player bringing their own unique style and incredible accomplishments to the table. Let's dive into what makes their careers so special. Starting with the one and only Michael Jordan. MJ is the name that most people still associate with basketball greatness. He's the guy who revolutionized the game, turning the NBA into a global phenomenon in the 80s and 90s. Jordan's career is full of legendary moments, but what really stands out is his ability to win. Plain and simple. Over 15 NBA seasons, Jordan won 6 NBA championships, and every single time, he was named Finals MVP. That's unreal. His dominance was never in question when the Bulls made it to the finals, because if you were up against MJ, chances were you were going to lose. Jordan wasn't just about the flashy dunks and scoring titles, although he had 10 of those too. He was a fierce competitor on both ends of the floor. 9 times he made the all-defensive first team, proving that he could shut down the other team's best player while dropping 30 points on them. And speaking of points, Jordan still holds the highest scoring average in NBA history. 30.1 points per game in the regular season, and a jaw, dropping 33.4 points per game in the playoffs. When the game mattered most, MJ always delivered. Remember his iconic game-winning shot in the 1998 finals against the Utah Jazz? That shot is still one of the most memorable moments in NBA history, a perfect ending to his time with the Bulls. But Jordan's career wasn't all smooth sailing. After leading the Bulls to 3 straight championships in the early 90s, Jordan shocked the world by retiring from basketball in 1993. The tragic murder of his father played a big part in that decision, and for a while, MJ tried his hand at baseball. But it didn't take long for him to return to his true passion. When Jordan came back to the Bulls in 1995, he picked up right where he left off, leading the team to another three-peat from 1996 to 1998. His second act was just as impressive as his first. Now, fast forward to 2003, when another basketball phenom named LeBron James entered the league. From the moment LeBron stepped on the court, he was pegged as the next big thing, and he more than lived up to that hype. If Jordan was all about dominance, LeBron was all about versatility. There's almost nothing LeBron can't do on the court. Scoring, passing, rebounding, defense, he does it all. Over his 20-year and counting career, LeBron has played in 10 NBA Finals, winning 4 championships along the way. What's crazy is that he made it to the finals 8 straight times between 2011 and 2018, which speaks to his incredible consistency and durability. LeBron's ability to adapt and succeed in different situations is what sets him apart. He's won titles with 3 different teams: the Miami Heat, Cleveland Cavaliers, and Los Angeles Lakers, which is something no other superstar has done at his level. His most famous championship has to be the one with Cleveland in 2016. Coming back from a 3-1 deficit against a 73-win Golden State Warriors team, LeBron led the Cavaliers to their first ever title. His chase down block on Andre Iguodala in Game 7 of that series is one of the greatest defensive plays in finals history. That championship wasn't just about basketball. It was about delivering on a promise to his hometown and ending Cleveland's 52-year title drought. LeBron's individual accomplishments are staggering. He's a 4-time MVP, a 4-time Finals MVP, and he recently became the NBA's all-time leading scorer, surpassing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The fact that LeBron is still playing at an elite level at age 39, with no signs of slowing down, is a testament to his longevity and work ethic. He's been an all-star 20 times, more than any player in history, and he's done it while continuing to evolve his game. Whether it's leading the league in assists at 35 years old, or still throwing down dunks like a young guy, LeBron is a one-of-a-kind talent. Then we have Kevin Durant, the most lethal scorer of his generation. While Jordan had the titles and LeBron had the versatility, KD has always been known for his pure ability to put the ball in the hoop. Durant came into the league in 2007, and it didn't take long for him to establish himself as a scoring machine. His combination of height, skill, and shooting ability makes him virtually unguardable. At 6'10" with a wingspan over 7 feet, Durant can shoot over almost anyone, and his range extends well beyond the three-point line. Durant's career is highlighted by 2 NBA championships with the Golden State Warriors, where he won Finals MVP both times. Joining forces with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, Durant's move to the Warriors was controversial, but it paid off with back-to-back titles in 2017 and 2018. KD thrived in Golden State's system, showcasing his ability to score in isolation or within the flow of an offense. He was virtually unstoppable in those finals runs, proving he could deliver when the stakes were highest. His finals MVP performances solidified his legacy as one of the best to ever play, and his efficiency as a scorer is unmatched. Durant's ability to score at will is reflected in his 4 scoring titles. He's been named to the All-NBA team 10 times, and his career average of 27.3 points per game is among the highest in NBA history. What makes Durant so special is his versatility as a scorer. Whether it's pulling up from deep, hitting a mid-range jumper, or finishing at the rim, he does it all. But KD is more than just a scorer. Over the years, he's developed into a solid defender and playmaker, rounding out his game in ways that have made him even more dangerous. While Jordan is still widely considered the greatest of all time, LeBron and Durant have pushed the conversation forward. LeBron's case for GOAT status is built on his longevity, versatility, and the sheer volume of his accomplishments. He's been at the top of the game for 2 decades, and his all-around ability has made him one of the most complete players in NBA history. Durant, meanwhile, continues to climb the ranks of all-time greats with his efficient scoring and clutch performances. Each of these players brings something different to the table. Jordan had the killer instinct and the 6 rings to back it up. LeBron's all-around game and ability to carry teams to the finals year after year are unparalleled. And Durant's scoring touch is unlike anything we've seen. Together, they represent 3 distinct eras of basketball greatness, each contributing to the game in their own unique way. So, when the debate about who's the greatest comes up, there's no definitive answer. It's all about what you value most. Jordan's championships and killer instinct, LeBron's versatility and longevity, or Durant's unstoppable scoring ability. What's clear is that all 3 have changed the game in ways that will be felt for generations to come. And for basketball fans, watching these legends in action has been nothing short of a privilege. The idea of Durant becoming the greatest player of all time is still a stretch, but it's not impossible. It would take a lot for that to happen, especially considering players like Michael Jordan and LeBron James, who have set the bar incredibly high. But if Durant can stay healthy, lead the Suns to a championship, and continue to perform at an elite level, his case as one of the greatest ever will only get stronger. In the end, Durant's career is a fascinating one, filled with incredible highs and controversial moments. His decision to join the Warriors, the injuries in Brooklyn, and now his time in Phoenix all add layers to his legacy. While he may never fully shake the criticisms that come with joining a super team, Durant's greatness is undeniable. He's one of the most skilled scorers the game has ever seen. And with a few more defining moments, he could end up even higher on the list of basketball's all-time greats. As it stands, Kevin Durant's legacy is still being written. He's got the rings, the MVPs, the scoring titles, and the accolades to back up his status as one of the best ever, but there's still more left for him to accomplish. At 35 years old, Durant isn't done yet, and the basketball world will be watching closely to see how the final chapters of his career play out. Could he win another championship in Phoenix? Could he earn another MVP? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. Kevin Durant's place in NBA history is secure, and his greatness can't be ignored.